Hi everyone, it's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps. Today I made a slimline card using the absolutely gorgeous Lovely Layers Magnolia die. So here is the die, and as you can see, you get two leaves. You have your two pieces for the center piece of the flower, and then you have the 4 layers to this magnolia, which creates one large flower. So I have die cut that twice from white cardstock because I want 2 flowers on my slimline card. And don't you guys just love the Lovely Layers anythings? They're just so fabulous. Now I decided I wanted to have a little bit of pink at the base of my petals. I don't want the whole flower to be pink. I want still to have a decent amount of white. So what I'm doing is following on each layer will have some etched areas that shows you where those petals are going to be seen. So I'm just doing the ink blending on those petals, and then I'm just lining it up with the one that will be in front of it because I want to make sure I can see enough of the pink. I want to make sure I have enough white. So again, if you're just ink blending a little bit like me and you're looking at your back piece, you're going to look for the etched areas, and then you know for sure that's where those are the petals that are going to be seen when you have the front layers on adhered. So this is the very front layer, and these are really easy to put together, but on Honeybee Stamps website, if you go and look for the Lovely Layers Magnolia and search through the pictures there, you're going to see a guide on how they lay out. So I have ink blended that, and I used Saltwater Taffy Distress Oxide ink. For these leaves, I'm going to be using Bundled Sage. I wanted this to be really soft and pretty, and I just like to keep it simple with just one color. Normally, I would be using Honeybee Stamps blender brushes, but I didn't have any for these colors. So I ink blended those 2 leaves, and I'm going to ink blend the other flower off camera because I'm doing exactly the same thing. Now you also have 2 pieces for the center. I'm going to ink blend that with Bundled Sage and Scattered Straw. And then those 2 will just be adhered together. So super simple. Now here are the pieces. I have my back piece on the behind, obviously. The largest piece is your back piece. Then the second largest is going to adhere to that. And you really can see by 1 or 2 or even 3 petals how they line up with each other, which makes these super simple to put together. So they all just kind of lined up. There's a petal, like that middle petal on the top left, that really makes it easy to put together. I'm putting that little green piece on the yellow piece for the center, and then the bottom of this lines up with the bottom of that front piece for the layer. Now I wanted a really pretty greenery background, so we're going to be using the Painted Blooms stamp set, and I will be using Shabby Shutters Distress Oxide ink. And so my slimline background is trimmed by 8 by 3 inches. A regular slimline is 8.5 by 3.5, but this is going to have a mat behind it, so I wanted this to be smaller. So I'm just going to lay some of these out at the bottom, ink this up, and then I can flip it around and lay out some more of these leaves. Again, I wanted this to be really soft and pretty. This is going to be a wedding card because we're going to be using the Inside Wedding Sentiments. Now, all of these products that I'm using are from the brand, just the recent release from Honeybee Stamps, so all of it is brand new, which is super fun, and I just thought this would be a very pretty wedding card. So again, I've cleaned off my stamp, and again, I'm going to layer this at the bottom, lay out my images, fill in some little holes there, and then using that Shabby Shutters Distress Oxide ink, inking up the background. Now I'm going to be doing something with vellum, which is going to kind of soften the background a little bit, even though you'll still be able to see through it, which I think is really perfect for a wedding card. So definitely hang on to see what I do with that. Really super simple, just a tiny little tip, but it really makes a difference. So I'm going to clean up all of my images, and then I'm going to add one more because there was that little hole there that was bothering me, and then I can add couple smaller ones. There's a bunch of different sizes of leaves in this stamp set, and there's definitely some flowers. So I'm going to add more of the leaf images. I want to fill in these opened white areas. I want this to be nice and full in the background, and this is a great way to create your own patterned paper, which is essentially what we're doing here. So I'm just going to finish with those last few, and then we can stamp our sentiment. Again, this is from the Inside Wedding Sentiments. This is a stamp set and it has a coordinating die. I'm using the one that says, "God bless you both as you begin this wonderful journey of marriage together," which I thought was really sweet. I prepped my cardstock with a powder tool. I'm using Honeybee Stamp's clear embossing ink, and I'm going to sprinkle on some gold embossing powder because gold is my favorite, and we're going to be adding a gold matte to this, and I know, feels a little classy, so I think it's perfect for a wedding card. So I heated that through until it was nice and melted with my heat tool, and then I'm going to use the coordinating die to die cut this out. I always say this, but I absolutely love coordinating dies for sentiments. I think it's so fantastic, and then I don't have to try to trim them straight. So I'm going to tape that in place and run that through my die cut machine. Okay, so I cut a piece of vellum 1/4 of an inch or about 1/16 of an inch smaller on all sides, so it's smaller than the 8 by 3 inch background. I am going to add foam tape behind my images. I will adhere that to the vellum first. Now, right now the vellum is not adhered to that background. So why I'm doing it this way, or why I like to do it this way, is I like to get my images onto the vellum. Then I can hide my other adhesive behind my images that are already there. So I just have it laid on top of my panel. What I also like about the vellum, number one, is it softens that background. You still can see all of the leaves, but it just kind of puts it in the background, which I like because I really want these magnolias to be the focal point. Also, trimming it down slightly smaller, you get the edge of the images that you've stamped on your background, and they're going to be a little bit darker. So it just adds some extra interest to your whole image. So I'm going to flip that over. I was deciding if I wanted that on foam tape, but I did not. So I'm just adding a little bit of liquid glue, hiding that behind my other images, and then I'm just going to center that. And if you wanted to blur out the background even more, I would say pop your vellum up with foam tape. Then I'm going to adhere that to a gold mirror matte, and then I will adhere that to my white Slimline card base, which again measures 8.5 by 3.5. The matte is 8.25 by 3.25. Then I'm going to finish this card with the Nuvo Crystal Drops in Pale Gold, just on the vellum, and I'm just going to add a scattering of dots all over this background. And I think this card is so soft and pretty. And finishing it off with that pale gold, I don't know, just did it for me. This card is just so pretty, and I love it for a wedding card. I feel like it's also not a traditional wedding card, but totally works. But as you can see, it's a great slimline card. You can still see the leaf detail in the back, and then of course you've got the beautiful, lovely layers magnolia. So thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I will be back soon with another video. Bye!